Hello guys, welcome to my YouTube channel. I go by the name of Trent, your go-to crypto guy. So in this video, I'll be telling you guys on how to start your crypto projects or start your crypto startups without or with less or no capital at all. So I've worked with a lot of founders, a lot of CEOs. Most of them did not really have money when they started. So I will tell you guys what they did and how they upgraded and how they iterate from there. So most of them actually leverage resourcefulness, meaning that they actually leverage on free tools like Notions, Figmas, and Canva. So they leverage on free tools. They also leverage on community involvement, time investment, you understand? So a lot of things went into play before they actually build their startup. First, you have to validate your ideas using your skills. You have to make sure that your product is solving problem in the crypto space. So if your product is not solving problem in the crypto space, I'm sorry, my brother, I'm not sure your startup will actually see the light of the day. So focus on the problem you understand well, and make sure that you are solving a particular problem in the crypto space. So you are not solving a problem in the crypto space, and your product cannot be upsided in the market. That means you cannot sell your product to people for people to start using it. So for you to know that your product is good is if you pitch your idea to somebody and they tell you that okay, we can use particular product to solve a particular problem. But if your product is not solving a problem, I'm sorry, you will not your startup will actually die before it even starts. Make sure you are solving a problem. If you are not solving a problem, sorry, your startup is dying. Secondly, what many people that actually build projects, but what they fail to do is that they don't build in public, basically. So most of them do not build in public. So most founders actually are now building in public. You understand? They are now building they're now getting into communities, and now getting involved in communities, holding AMA spaces, holding spaces with different communities. Even when the product is not yet online, but they're actually having a voice online. So instead of that, we actually raise an awareness of people that okay, something big is coming. So you have to be able to create a buzz. So that's why you have to build in public. You understand? For you to create that particular community, you have to make sure that you're building a particular community before your product is actually released. So building in public also involves sharing your weekly progress in your X account, on your Telegram communities, on your Telegram channel. So you have to share your progress. Okay, what have we done this particular week? What are we doing? What are we adding to this? What are we going about this? So you have to be able to communicate with your community. So that now will actually create a believer. We create believers. You understand? We create people that will actually believe in your product even before you actually go online. So you have to create a community. A community you actually take your project from 0 to 100, you understand? So the third thing I tell people that assemble founding communities, meaning that assemble founding teams. So most founders tend to don't assemble teams. For instance, how to picking your co-founders. You have to be able to know that okay, you're picking your co-founder, you're picking your marketing officer, that's your CMO, you're picking your community managers. You're looking for these people that can actually make your product actually go out there. So most founders do not actually pick this thing. They just think that okay, they can actually do it by themselves. You cannot build $1 million project by yourself. So you have to be able to pick your founders, pick your community marketing officer. You have to be able to pick your community marketing officer. You have to be able to pick your community manager. You understand? So you cannot build a multi-million-dollar project by yourself. So you have to pick a team. You need a team basically for your product to flourish. In building your project, so you have to make sure that you leverage in free products, in free softwares and free infrastructures. So make sure you leverage in free infrastructures. Make sure you use free database, free testnet tokens, and also make sure you leverage more on free infrastructures. In leveraging more on free infrastructures, you actually cut costs. And when you cut costs, you actually cut costs, and you make sure that the project will actually go faster, actually be built faster. Make sure you build on free infrastructures. In free infrastructure, meaning that your database, make sure you build on free database before you can actually iterate. Make sure you leverage on free infrastructures. Without leveraging on free infrastructures, you are looking for a way towards paid infrastructure. You see that you're actually spending lots of money. So you spending lots of money, you actually make your project not actually move faster. You get? So you have to make sure that you leverage on free infrastructure first before you actually spend on paid infrastructure. Make sure you leverage on free infrastructure. Let's say, for instance, you want to test a smart contract, use free testnet tokens. You want to host, but use free hosting like Vessel. So make sure you invest on free infrastructures, free softwares. There are so many softwares online that can actually make your project go faster. if you invest in them. So before you make sure you invest on free infrastructure before you actually use paid infrastructure. Next phase is raising funds. For you to get funds, you have to apply for grants, and you get, so many founders actually need to apply for grants and participate in hackathons. So if you are participating, there are so many teams that actually brings out grants for founders and brings out grants for projects, upcoming startup and projects. So you have to be able to research more and look for grants and look for ways to actually, for you to look for money for a project to iterate and all that. So make sure that you apply for grants, apply for hackathons. There's many teams that are actually doing free hackathons. If I Solana is actually doing free hackathons. You can look into Solana and pitch your project to founders and pitch your project to investors for them to invest. So instead of you going to VCs, so you pitch your project to invest and apply for grants. First of all, make sure you apply for more grants and more hackathons. That's the way for you to build your startup. So before you launch your project, make sure you actually do airdrop activities. Meaning that you can use Daily Tax or Galaxy Tax and all that to run an airdrop campaign for your project. So before you launch, so you can actually create that hype, I can actually create that buzz for community members, and make sure that you honor community members. Make sure your MVP is online, so people can actually give you feedbacks. So when people give you feedback, then you generate from them, meaning that you improve after you have gotten feedback from your community members. Make sure you don't be a standstill founder that will actually say that they don't like criticism. So people have to criticize your project, people have to give feedbacks to your projects, but from there you can actually iterate from that via feedbacks. Many founders do not really actually like feedbacks. They actually say, okay, they want to build a perfect project. You don't build a perfect project, basically. You actually build the MVP, you put the MVP online, then people will actually use the product. As long as people are using the product and people are giving you feedback on the product, there's always an improvement. You can always improve. No project is actually started perfect. You have to build an MVP and put it online. That MVP is what you show to your people that want to invest. That's the MVP is what people in the community will actually start using. You understand? That way it's easier for you to build a bigger community when you have an MVP online. From there, you get the feedback from the community members, then you iterate from there. Raising capital through VC is optional, basically. So many founders do not actually put out their MVP online. They don't start raising capitals. Understand? So they actually start using capital from preceding. I used to advise founders that, okay, you don't raise capital from preceding. You actually build your project. You actually build an MVP online first. So if you want to raise capital through grants and hackathons instead of you going to VCs, because VCs will actually take VC will actually take a big portion of your project. So you actually apply for grants and participate in hackathons to raise capitals for you to build your project first in the preceding phase, before you can make sure your project is online. Therefore, you can actually say you want to go and meet VCs, because VCs actually take a lot of your time, you now start applying for different VCs and all that. So there are so many VCs that will actually help you, but they will take a lot. They will actually own your project. So you have to make sure that you build first before you look for capitals. Before you raise capital, make sure you build first before you look for capital. Many founders do not like to build first. They like to just say, okay, let's look for funding. Make sure you build something online first. People start using that thing you have built online before you now start looking for capital. What can you offer to people? So you can actually offer. What can you offer to people instead of money? You can actually offer allocations or equity. That's tokens. You understand? So you have to be able to design your tokenomics to the extent that it will not affect you when you launch. So make sure you design your tokenomics in a very precise way that it will not affect you when you launch. If you are looking for a way to start building your project and getting your MVP online, send us a DM. Thank you for watching.